How we got to this point is even crazier than you realize, and it should make you look at Hidan differently. Hidan was a shinobi of the hidden village in the hot water, but because he was 22 in Naruto Shippuden, it means that unfortunately by the time he became a shinobi, the third ninja war, it had ended. It was during the time after the war that Hidan found himself growing resentment at the direction of his village, but he was still nevertheless fascinated by the stories of war that he heard, and at one point the Sasuke Shinden story of Sunrise novel reveals that he was even tracking down the massacre site of the Chinoki clan where the Uchiha had massacred them in what was called the Valley of Hell just outside of his village. When Hidan investigated the site closer, however, he noticed that there were bodies that weren't skeletons, but instead they were corpses, and that they had their blood sucked dry, which led to the higher-ups of his village basically saying that they thought that Hidan massacred the people there because of his growing fascination with war and death in Jashin. His village, it was transitioning from being a shinobi village to being a tourist village. They weren't able to compete with the larger villages like Konaha and Sunagakure and the Cloud Village, etc., but they still needed to be able to pay the bills. So the feudal lord basically pulled rank, and he transitioned them away from being a military village to being a tourist village, basically cutting down on the number of shinobi and shifting focus to selling itself as a hot spring destination. This led to shinobi like Hidan getting forced to do guard missions and escort missions of wealthy clients who were coming to visit the hot springs. Growing annoyed with the change in his village, Hidan finally snapped one night and he killed all of his neighbors and whatever tourists he ran across before leaving the village as a rogue ninja, which is how he became a member of the Jashin cult, being drawn in by their doctrine that you don't just love thy neighbor, but you also have a duty to slaughter them as well. This led to Hidan successfully being the first person in that Jashin cult to survive the immortality jutsu. That's where the anime picks up, where you see Konan and Itachi go after Hidan, because during that time the Akaski, they were still a group taking on mercenary work. They weren't doing their Bijuu hunt yet, and Hidan was taking out his grudge against the land of hot water for turning his village into a tourist destination. Obviously this might have been a bit too graphic and violent to be shown in the anime, though I would debate otherwise given that Naruto Shippuden aired in a primetime TV slot during weekday where there are less restrictions on what can be aired.